Как самочувствие,
Тяжело было. Серега, молодец.
Да. Там готово все. Застелено все, да?
Может быть, еще вертолет.
Сейчас я не знаю.
Молодец, умница, вот бой.
Вставай на кресло.
Около С2 готовимся.
Так.
6 минут.
Голову.
Поехали.
Опускаем. Голову. Так, и вот сюда, батальон.
Let's put him here.
Как будешь готов, Жека? Говори.
Володь, данные по медицине.
Так, готов данные по командиру. Мешок вот, я тебе могу дать сразу здесь. Мешок вот, я тебе сразу могу.
And you're looking at Kevin Ford, the Expedition 34 commander, who was the second crew member to be extracted from the Soyuz vehicle, being bundled up against the extreme frigid temperatures on a Saturday morning at the landing site. To Ford's right is Soyuz commander Oleg Novitsky. Yevgeny Tarelkin will be the final crew member to be extracted from the vehicle. Kevin Ford completing his second flight into space and a total of 158 days in space on his two missions. The first as pilot of the Shuttle Discovery on the STS-128 mission that flew in August and September of 2009, a 14-day flight of assembly and logistics at the International Space Station. Ford, Novitsky, and Tarelkin launched on October 23rd of last year from Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, arriving at the International Space Station for a docking at the Poisk module on October 25th. And Yevgeny Tarelkin now out. All of the crew members have been extracted from the Soyuz vehicle.
Take care of your head. Slide down.
Все, готов перейти на точку перед экванатом.
Russian search and recovery forces attending to the crew members. There's a thumbs up signal from Tarelkin. Russian nurses also on scene to conduct some very preliminary medical checks of the crew, but all three crew members certainly appeared to be smiling and in good spirits as they were all the way through their increment of almost 5 months in space.
Let's take his pulse.
Звук идет, нет? Все понял, хорошо. Ребят, вас сейчас в прямом эфире видят в СУФе.
We're showing you live in the MCC. Can you say a couple of words for them? Because everyone was worrying about you. At the MCC, they can see you live right now. Please say something. Just a couple of words. We would like to repeat it once again.
Вот сейчас, да?
Right now? Soon. Give us 1 week.
Once again, all 3 crew members out of the Soyuz vehicle being attended to. We're still waiting to hear further word on where they go from here. We do not know at this point whether the personnel, enough personnel, were able to land to erect an inflatable medical tent, or whether the crew simply will move on to be brought into the available search and recovery helicopters that are on the ground at the landing site for an expedited return to the staging city of Kustanai. We still do not have an unofficial touchdown time for the Soyuz. Based on the voice calls that we received, we can only speculate that the touchdown time was around 10:08 to 10:10 p.m. Central Time. That's the best information we have at this point. And so after a few minutes in a reclining chair to begin an acclimation to Earth's gravity, Oleg Novitsky, the Soyuz commander, begins to be brought, and it appears as if he will be brought towards one of the helicopters that landed for an expedited return to Kustanai. Kevin Ford now being bundled up and being hoisted to be brought, we believe, to one of those helicopters that were able to land on the ground, and Turelkin now will follow in suit.
Will you carry Evgeny? Yes, I will. Good girl.
So the search and recovery forces operating with dispatch, wasting little time against the inclement weather conditions at the landing site that deteriorated over the past 2 or 3 hours, bringing the crew members 2 helicopters. We don't believe that the requisite number of helicopters landed to erect the inflatable medical tent near the spacecraft. And as you can see from this view, it appears as if the crew is being brought to the available helicopters for an expedited return to Kustanai.
Сереж, делай это самое малясовый эфир. Владимир Александрович.
Да куда ты пошел? Расскажите. Расскажите.
О чем? Что вы хотите, чтобы я рассказал?
Как?
Так, да?
So to recap, it was all by the numbers this evening as the Soyuz undocked on time from the Poisk module of the International Space Station at 6:43 p.m. Central Time, executed a separation burn to begin phasing away from the station, at which point just over 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later, executed its deorbit burn at 9:13 p.m. Central Time and began the descent back toward Earth. All of the entry milestones were executed without an issue, and the only problem this evening, Saturday morning Kazakhstan time, was the weather that closed in on the landing site rather quickly and rather dramatically. That resulted in only 2 search and recovery helicopters and a series of all-terrain vehicles arriving at the landing site to attend to the crew instead of the usual dozen helicopters and a bevy of onlookers and personnel that normally would be present at the landing site. The crew, as you can see from the Soyuz vehicle that landed upright, the crew was extracted within minutes after the helicopters arriving at the landing site. They spent a few minutes in reclining chairs and were hoisted and brought to those respective helicopters, we presume, for an expedited return to the staging city of Kustanai in northern Kazakhstan, just across the border from Russia. We have not received an unofficial touchdown time. We can only speculate that it was around 10:08 p.m. or so Central Time. We can't verify anything more specific than that at this point. Communications were fairly choppy at the time of touchdown. All we know is that the Soyuz, obviously, as you can see from this live view, was in an upright state as it landed, and the crew members appear to be in good shape as they are being brought to the helicopters to take off for the trip, a 2-hour flight back to the staging city of Kustanai. We are speculating that they'll be brought to Kustanai. It is entirely possible that because of the visibility, they could be flown to an interim stop in Arkalyk, which is nearby, only about 36 miles away. No information yet on where the crew will be brought to. There's a NASA plane at the airport in Kustanai. There is a Gagarin cosmonaut training center aircraft also in Kustanai, where the crews are normally brought back to be dispatched back home. But because of the weather today, we're only speculating that Kustanai is the initial destination for the crew. It could very well be that they're diverted to Arkalyk, so we'll be standing by for further information about that. And even as this recovery operation continues on the steppe of Kazakhstan to the northeast of Arkalyk, further to the northwest, back in Russia at Star City at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center, the next trio of crew members to be launched to the International Space Station, Pavel Vinogradov, Alexander Mazurkin, and Chris Cassidy of NASA, are preparing to depart Star City to fly down to the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan for the final 2 weeks of training that will lead to their launch in the wee hours of March 29th Kazakhstan time, the afternoon of March 28th U.S. time here in Houston, to join up with their crewmates on what will be a single-day launch to docking, a 4-orbit 6-hour transit from the launch pad at Baikonur to the International Space Station.